Hello everyone and welcome to What Culture. I'm Josh, joined today by James Dowse.
Hello, Josh Brown.
Hello, James Dowse. There has been overnight some Sonic the Hedgehog 2 news. Obviously, Sonic the Hedgehog movie adaptation came out in, I think, like early 2020, even though it seems like a lifetime ago. It did very well. A sequel was greenlit. That's coming out in April 2022. And now we know who is going to play Knuckles. Obviously, an incredibly popular and famous character from the original games. Idris Elba tweeted and insta'd out last night a picture of Knuckles as Knuckles with the caption knock knock, essentially confirming that he's got the voice part in the upcoming movie. And essentially the internet just kind of like exploded. I just saw this like everywhere. Everyone was commenting on it. Everyone was posting memes about it. It seems like it's gone down very, very well. I know you were a fan of the original movie, so I just kind of initially want your opinions on this casting choice.
More famous people being involved with this series is better because that means that it's getting a higher budget. Well, hopefully it's going to get more traction if Idris Elba's going to be in it. Because the main selling point, one of the main selling points of the last one was Jim Carrey. And now we're getting Idris Elba. What more could you want?
Exactly, it's like one of the coolest characters from the games, played by like one of the coolest dudes just to exist. Like, I think it's like a really interesting choice. And like you say, obviously, you know, this is going to be a big budget sequel, and there were already plenty of big names attached to it. Obviously, like you said, Jim Carrey was such a huge draw. He's back in the sequel as a proper Dr. Eggman now. He kind of didn't have the big mustache or the bald head in the original until like the very post-credit sequence, I think. I want to clarify that I've actually not seen the original, which I'm going to be asking you about throughout this video. So yeah, obviously he's back. I know. Like, this is the thing. Like, we'll go get to that. We'll focus on the news right now. So yeah, essentially, you know, Idris Elba's on board. It's interesting because the last we heard of this, earlier this year, the idea was floated. The rumor was going around that Jason Momoa was going to be cast as Knuckles. Apparently there were some negotiations going on, so I'm not really sure what happened with that, whether or not they've fallen through. So yeah, obviously you've got Idris Elba as Knuckles, we've got Ben Schwartz as Sonic. We don't know actually who's playing Tails yet. Tails again was introduced in the post-credit sequence of the first movie, and I think from what I can gather in my research, the voice actor there was the original voice actress who played Tails in some of the TV shows and some of the games. However, she's not been confirmed for the sequel, so I don't know if they're going to maybe replace her with a kind of like big name, bigger Hollywood name. You know, on the one hand, like I can see why they would do it. On the other hand, it kind of maybe sucks if they do that and they kind of like push the original voice actors out for a different production, especially when, you know, they were already involved originally. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that element.
Well, it's debatable because obviously Detective Pikachu, you had Ryan Reynolds instead of the original voice actor. And I'm fairly certain I read about the Mario Illumination film that's going to come out. Depends if Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, like, is he going to be Mario? Well, it's like Sonic as well. That's voiced by Ben Schwartz, where originally it's a different video game actor. So, like, voice actor. So, it could be anybody at this point. If they're getting Idris in to play Knuckles, it can be anybody. And I'm fair enough. I hope it's somebody good. Really?
100%. You know, yes. I think that's fair. As long as it's good, I think we can all agree that would be good. Interestingly, we've only seen, you know, the poster that Idris tweeted out was just, like I said, the Knuckles and a little bit of arm fur, I guess, and that was kind of like shown off as this big, you know, first look at the character. And we haven't seen, you know, the actual face of the character or how it's going to look in CGI. However, there were some leaked photos from set with a Knuckles prop that looked really authentic to the games. And obviously the big thing going into the original Sonic movie initially was the backlash to Sonic's design, which wasn't authentic to the original games. It didn't look anywhere near as expressive or as cartoony, and it kind of looked like this weird, uncanny creation. Obviously that caused a huge amount of problems. A monster, some would say, a little gremlin, others would say. They went back and kind of like redid it all, and it seems like they're not going to make the same mistake again, which I think will please people, especially because, you know, it's so funny looking at the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, because initially, like I said, when that first trailer came out, everyone was like, what is this? This is going to bomb so much. And then weirdly, the studio kind of like listened to a lot of the fans and they kind of redid some things. And when it came out, it was a huge success and everyone was like, this is pretty good. Like, I don't think anyone was head over heels in love with it, but I think the sentiment was like, there was something there, you know?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Can you remember, like, Sonic's design throughout the past few years has been very weird? Because can you remember the Sonic Boom game when he had like straps around his arms and Knuckles had like leg braces and all these kind of weird things? Like,
yeah, totally.
I am so glad that they've finally found a design for these characters in the film that actually look good. Because I always doubt Sonic to look good, which is really sad to say. That it's such a big franchise and Sonic looks terrible 9 times out of 10. But
you are going to annoy so many people with that. I'm almost guaranteed if there's anyone, any big Sonic fans in the comments.
The film adaptation, the most recent one, looks nice. The original one looks like a monster. But then you go back because there's the release of the Sonic Colors remaster coming out this year, where Sonic looks great. But then you go back a few years and see that Sonic Boom, where he looks like a monstrosity again. Just leave Sonic to be Sonic. But that's just a rant for another day, Josh.
No, I appreciate it very much, and I think it is touching on a point, because, you know, these movies, for as much as they are for, you know, Sonic fans, they're also tapping into a certain nostalgia that people had for the original games and the quote unquote original Sonic looks, especially what they're doing now. And I kind of feel like that's what we're seeing, you know, with not only with the character in their aesthetics, but the characters that are being announced. You know, like, this is essentially a team-up movie. We're getting Tails, we're getting Sonic, and they're going against Knuckles and Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Eggman. Like I said, Jim Carrey's back. So I like that we've got like these two villains, these two antagonists, and then these two heroes kind of like battling it out. It makes me wonder whether there's going to be room for the human characters, because obviously they're signed on for multiple sequels, and they're confirmed to be in this next movie. Like, I guess, you know, I've brought you in here as a fan of that first movie. Like, how do you think they hit the balance between the characters that people came to see and the human drama and the human element that's obviously blended with the live action? Like, did they succeed in your opinion?
I think it was somewhat of like a perfect 50-50 mix, because it was James Marsden in the original film alongside Sonic, and it was, I'm sure you know from reading synopsis and whatever, but it was like a road trip movie, so it was fairly 50-50 James Marsden and Sonic. And then James Marden's love life and all of that stuff mixed with Sonic wanting to do whatever Sonic wanted to do. So it was a nice mix. But as you say there, with the introduction of more characters, it makes you feel like James Marden might be like, be gone. Just focus on Sonic for now. Yeah. And Jim Carrey obviously wants to, I feel like he needs to even stretch his legs even more in this next film if he's going to go crazy as Dr. Robotnik. So I think it is leading up to a perfect film, and hopefully Paramount give them a bigger budget to make these amazing spectacles that they were in the first one, but imagine it being even more so. Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, like the first movie, it was a success, but it almost felt like, you know, Paramount was like hedging their bets. I think the budget was about 80 to 90 million, which obviously is a load of money, but for a tentpole like this, you know, you're expecting 150 million at the least. You're expecting 200 million for a big superhero movie. And I wonder if we start to see it kind of like creep up towards that level now that it's kind of proven itself. I'm really excited because I was looking at the post-credit scenes, and I was looking at Jim Carrey's like transformation, and I want to see him kind of like go wild with it. You know, he's rarely done a sequel, so to see him like come back, he must. Yeah, it's weird.
It's just Dumb and Dumber 2 and I guess Pet Detective. Ace Ventura.
That's true. Yeah, Pet Detective I think was the only other one that he did like quickly. Obviously Dumb and Dumber 2 was like 20 years or something after the original and stuff. So it seems like he's got a lot of love for the character, a lot of love for the filmmakers who are all returning as well.
What is nice is Jim Carrey finally having, obviously as we said there, he's got Dumb and Dumber 2 whatever, but it feels like he's got himself in a franchise now. Like it feels like Jim Carrey's finally found his footing in somewhere after somewhat of, I guess you could call it a dry streak, I guess, of not the best films ever. And now he's coming back again with, hopefully, with a vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. Like you said, Jim Carrey has sat out like essentially like a decade. He starred in a few things, obviously. He was like in films like Kick-Ass 2. He wasn't really the headliner that he once was, and it is kind of strange to see him in this big blockbuster franchise, franchise essentially. You know, it's weird to see him there, but obviously He's bringing a lot to it. He's bringing a lot of intrigue from outside of the Sonic fandom, and that can only be a good thing. Again, as a kind of like outsider looking in, think all of this looks promising. The fact that they're setting up this kind of interesting tag team between these two antagonists and these two heroes, the fact that they've got Idris on board as Knuckles, like it all seems like it's going to please the fans, hopefully anyway. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think about the casting of Knuckles? Is there anyone else you would have preferred, or is this absolutely spot on? Let us know while you're down there. Could you please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like that every single day. Like that, I meant to say it like this. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't, I've been Josh. This has been James Dowse, and
Hello.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Hello, James, it's the end of the video. You've got that, you're like 10 minutes late. It's like 10 minutes late in that.
Hello.